evening, everyone. It's Kalini here again, and I've got the wonderful Nic Browne in the studio with me again tonight. Welcome, everyone, and lovely to see you here, Nic. How are you?
Hi, I'm great, thank you. Really excited to be here again. Hopefully no technical issues tonight.
Yeah, because last week we had a few, didn't we, with challenges, but just want to share with you, everybody, that please, we do welcome any comments, any questions, or any feedback for anything we have to say. Do add it to the chat. Do say hello as well and let us know who it is that's watching. We can see quite a few people watching. And the other thing to mention to you as well, we're streaming to a few different groups, in fact, including Inspirational Women of the World, as well as my Facebook group, as well as my profile. So lovely to see you. And tonight, following on from the theme of last night when we were talking about confidence, what I thought would be really good tonight is we would follow it up and talk about having confidence to do Facebook Lives, because I think it is something that's quite important for us to do and to consider doing. And I do know that in this time at the moment, quite a few people they may be reticent to do it. They may have fears about doing it, or maybe not sure about the technology side of it. They might be concerned about how to do it. So I thought what we could do is we could talk about, what are the things that we need to think about? What is it that's holding us back, and any fears we might have, and also share some tips about, how we can go about it, because I think it is a really important tool to have. I mean, just doing this tonight, it's great fun. And obviously the more you do it in practice, the better you get. Do you do lives as well, Nic? How do you?
I have done. So I know it's one of the things that is really important to do in your business for visibility. So over the last few years, I have done lives on my Facebook profile. I have done lives in groups. And when I do them, I come off and I very often think that was awful. I never want to do that again. But actually in the last couple of weeks, having had a few conversations with different people and just knowing where we're at now and what needs to happen, I have done 2 lives over the last week in a particular group, and obviously doing this with you, Kalini, which is actually, I have to say, much easier than going live on your own on a Facebook page. Yeah. So it's really good to do things like this if you get the opportunity. So yeah, I was talking this morning, or in fact yesterday in my networking group I was part of. We were talking about visibility, and I'd said I'd been invited to do a live in a group, and in the words of a very great lady, Susan Lee, who I met through networking, you say yes first and second, if you don't mind me using the language. But I live by that now, because often we say no to things that we really know we could do, but we're scared of, and we have fear of doing, but we hold ourselves back. So using that bit of a mantra makes me put myself out of my comfort zone and go for it. So yeah.
And in fact, yesterday we talked about confidence and about how confidence, there's different aspects to it, but it's often what's actually we don't think about is the fact that we want to stay in our safe zone. We talked about how confidence is about your self-esteem, self-belief, self-image, and self-worth. Your self-esteem is, just as a quick recap, your self-esteem is your view of yourself. And then your self-belief is how you believe that you can cope with situations and your belief in your capabilities. Your self-worth is how you value yourself. And this isn't a monetary value at all. It's about how you value yourself in the world and your place in the world. And then the other one is your self-image and how you see yourself and how you think people perceive you. And I think all of those go together. So, I just want to touch on you saying that sometimes what we do is we come off alive and we say, oh my gosh, I was awful. But you know what? Often 95% of the time you've done it really well. But what you do is you go and come off, and it's a natural human nature thing. And you come off and you criticize the one thing you might have done wrong. Whereas actually, if you think of it with a positive mental attitude, you actually did 95% of it really well. But what you do is you focus on the one thing you should have done. And I bet you most people wouldn't have a clue whether you did it right or wrong, because in actual fact, they don't know what you meant to say. Only you knows what you were going to say, or what you intended to say, and what your intention was. So sometimes it's about, we beat ourselves up, and it is about that chimp on our shoulder And that negative inner chatter that sometimes is a thing that's holding us back from our self-belief and lowering our self-esteem and our belief in ourselves, and, you know, that we're capable of doing this. And it is that fear thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You think you
false evidence.
Absolutely. And do you know what, I'm glad you mentioned it is in some respects easier to do it, as you say, as a duo, provided it works well with that person. But do you know, that's why I do love my live in conversations with, I do all the time, I do them loads. And it's because what it is I'm able to showcase somebody in a really positive way, give them a platform to speak about themselves and showcase themselves without them feeling that nerves, because I can help coach them or nurture them through it. And it's a really great way of doing it. So if anybody is feeling anxious about it, consider doing it. And, you know, come on with me, be a guest of mine on one. I'm doing these daily now. So if anybody wants to come on, please do put some comments in the chat and say hello. I can see lots of eyes watching. Do say who you are. We'd love to have some happy, friendly faces saying hello to us, and leave any comments or any thumbs up or agreements in the chat, because we'd love to hear. So yeah, let's talk about then the limiting beliefs we have, because limiting beliefs are something like you've described one. You actually, oh, hello Vix, lovely to see you, my dear. Lovely to see you earlier on this evening as well. So do you want to share with me some, just so that we can clarify what a limiting belief is? It's a negative belief about yourself and your own abilities. And often, just to explain, to clarify for people, because this is some of the things I coach, is it's a deep-seated thing which you actually has happened in your past, which maybe has undermined your confidence. Oh, wonderful, Vix. Just nice to say hello. And also, Vix, absolutely, come on.
Do it, you'll love it.
It's so much fun. The more you do it, it's like once you first learned to ride a bike, you didn't know how to do it. And as you know, you become consciously competent of what you need to learn. And then you just develop this eventual unconscious competence. And it's just, honestly, it's just, you just come on and you do it and have fun. It's how you approach it. But yeah, limiting beliefs are the things that hold us back. And we have that negative chatter, inner chatter, which holds us back and tells us you're not good enough, you're going to fail, just think you might make a fool of yourself. So maybe if we can sort of list some of the things people say, what do you say to yourself before you go on a live?
Well, I try not to tell, and I try not to say it just before I go on, because that's quite that's gonna kind of put me off, I think, when I'm doing it. So, but some of the things that happen when I've been invited to do them is the thought process of, I haven't got any value to add. I don't know what I'm talking about. People are going to look at me and think, who is she?
Yeah.
Like, who does she think she is? You know, like, she's not a celebrity. She's not got any kind of amazing knowledge and experience of anything. So why does she think we want to listen to her? And it is true. It's a real limiting belief, and you kind of have to have those conversations with yourself to say, no, I have got value to add. If I prepare enough, I do know what I'm talking about, and you know, like, people want to get to know the real person, so people are interested in finding out more about me. So yeah, I'm going to do it. I kind of like reframe, talk around, you know, what I've been thinking, I suppose.
And I know you said that you don't say it before, but often, just everybody's different, and maybe Vix and whoever else is listening can say, sometimes you get the nerves and the anxiety or the worry prior to going live, but sometimes you might be in the middle of the live, and some people and in the middle of doing the talk, or it might even be not just lives. This is just when you're standing up and doing a presentation or talking to your team. And what might happen then is you end up sort of start thinking, oh my gosh, they look bored. Oh gosh, are they really interested in what I've got to say? So sometimes it's actually, whilst you're doing it, you might have that little voice in your head saying, you're sounding boring, you're not good, you're not good enough. Oh my gosh, that was a blooper. You're making a mess of it. So
now that's really funny, because I find that when I'm doing my Zoom networking meetings and I'm presenting for that and hosting for that, then yeah, I find that, because obviously I can see people's faces, and sometimes people do look like they're bored, and it's only because I know the feedback afterwards is always that they've had a really good time, they've really enjoyed it, that I know that they're not. But yeah, actually, when you're going live out on Facebook, like I cannot see anything other than you. So so to me, I'm just talking to you, and obviously, yes, there is an audience, there's people listening, but I don't even know how many people are listening because I can't see that. So that's actually really easy.
Yeah.
And then again on Facebook Live as well, actually the one that I did this morning, the group that I was doing it into was only about 300 people, so not a massive group. And nobody actually, I think 2 people came on during the time I was doing it, so there wasn't really that engagement back and forth. So actually I just chatted and talked, and yeah, so it was easier
Yeah.
than I thought it would be, and it's getting easier. So that's the thing I would say to anyone is, obviously,
I mean, when I do my in conversations with, like my chats with people, showcasing them, I just grab a coffee, and it's like, and a lot of people have said it's not about going on to sort of sell or anything. And this is where I think we need to maybe focus on, why do you do the live in the first place? Because I think there are different reasons for doing it. And I think sometimes your purpose might be different in each situation. And sometimes if you think about what your purpose is, that also informs what you say and how you prepare for it. And I think if we go back to when we were doing things face to face, and I've done presentations for you, haven't I, on the art of communication and so on. And what it is we're trying to do when we are actually doing any form of communication is connecting with people. We need to connect. We need to be able to engage with them. They need to get to know you as a person, a real person, and become that authentic person that they either know you, they get to know you, but they either like you. They've also got to get to know and trust you. So effectively, you're aiming for that. So, but it's about being yourself. And I think if you come on and you try and be something different, you put on a different tone of voice, you try to be perfect, it doesn't work, because people want to see the real you. I went on a talk yesterday with somebody, and I hadn't had chance to sort of do my hair after doing a workout. So I just put it up, and I just sort of like did this quickly, and it was fine. And I thought, okay, it's not my most polished self, but it doesn't matter. It was me. And I think sometimes that's what you need to bear in mind, that people want to see the real you, because otherwise you put yourself on this pedestal that you can't sustain, because we are all human beings.
I mean, look at how much as a nation we love watching reality TV, because we want to see real people, we want to see real life, because that's just like us then, so we can relate. So yeah, so it is about being real.
And then in terms of like what you're trying to do during a Facebook Live, I think a lot of it is, it's not about, I think people make the mistake of thinking I'm going on here to sell my product, and therefore that's when they worry, well, I haven't got much to talk about. But actually you've got something, everybody's got something to say. But I do think that it is important to have a purpose. And I think if you just go on live, and I've been in some of these challenges where somebody says, go live for 30 days, every day for 5 minutes. If somebody hasn't got something to say, or they don't know what to say, or they don't know how to structure it, or they, I think there does need to be a little bit of support to actually give you some guidance. So I thought maybe today, what we can do is we can, there are several things obviously we could suggest, but the first one I would say, it's about planning what it is you want to say. Begin with the end in mind. What's your purpose? What is it you're trying to say? Like tonight, we said, okay, we decide before we came on. There's no script to this. We just said, look, we'll talk about Facebook Lives, what the fears are. What is it that people, what's their pain? What is it they're going to want to know most about? And what's the important thing is to give some tips. And if you think about what the purpose is each time, then ideas come to you when you're on. There's no script to this. We haven't planned it. We've just said, let's go on and talk about this and this, that, and the other, don't we? And sometimes it is the natural way is much better, because you have those natural pauses, you're thinking. And I know it becomes easier the more you do it. And maybe people might be petrified at the thought of going on and not having a script. But I don't know about you, but do you ever script? Because I personally always advise people not to. You haven't.
So I've got my notes like written down, not for now, but from this morning's live. But I didn't really follow it, to be honest. Because you can't, because then you're reading.
Yes.
And it's scripted. So it's just I think for me, it's actually, it's like I write it out before, because then it goes in my head. in a structure of what I'm going to say, and then I don't have to follow it, but I kind of know then what I'm going to talk about. So but having bullet points is a similar thing, isn't it? You know, getting yourself ready in that way. And
the other thing I always suggest to people, because I do presentation skills training, and it is about when you're preparing a presentation, you have to have a beginning, a middle, and end, and a structure to your talk. But it's also really important to have a think about, you know, how you're going to start it. If you can just get into the beginning of it, that start is a start, and then you know how you're going to start it, and the rest flows. But it's also knowing how you're going to end it, because otherwise you think you're rambling on and you don't have an end purpose in mind. And it's really important that otherwise your listeners will switch off. And you need to have a structure to know roughly how long it's going to be. But I think in terms of like writing it out, the other thing I say to people though is that when you write, it's different to how you speak. When you're speaking, you will put pauses in, but you'll also do like rhetorical devices. You'll do like the power of three, like, you know, government for the people, by the people, of the people, you know, things. You repeat yourself. You'll want to say this, you'll want to say that. I've just
you do when you're a polished communication expert. However,
but
let me just write what I think. say what I've written. There's no like, you know, there's no logic to it, I suppose.
But do you know what?
In the way you were explaining there.
I was then going to say to you though, Nick, because I actually think what you do though is okay, because what it is that process of you writing it, it's gone in.
Yeah.
However people want to prepare, that's fine. And whether it's writing it out first, but when you come down to the actual presentation, it's just having then a few bullet points that you can then
and you're right about having a structure. I mean, I did have a structure with my talk today. I was talking about aging well, and I was talking about the problems that we face, and then talking about what it actually means, and then giving some tips on things you can do to improve that. So it was structured in that way. Not perhaps as well as it could be. I think I need some, you know, some extra help from you, Kalini, to get some ideas of things I can put in, you know, punchy headlines and things like that. You know?
And I think sometimes it's about in terms of lives then. So, you know, a few tips then is to sort of know what it is your intention is when you're actually going to go on live. Roughly work out how long you're going to talk for. Like I've always planned that we're going to have these talks for about 20 minutes or so. And then you then think about, well, what would the person be interested in hearing? You have a beginning, middle and end. You then plan your content, whether you write it out, whether you type it out, whether you have it as a crib sheet. But the important thing is to then break it down into little chunks so that you know. And the other thing I'd give to people is, don't try and follow that rigidly. Sometimes, like our conversation is ebbing and flowing. You might go back to another point and say, something else I've remembered, and that's fine. There's something else that's really important for us to hone in on and focus on, or something I just want to remind you of. And there are ways of you bringing it back to if you've forgotten to say something. And the other thing is bluff. It's sometimes you don't have to say to them, oh my gosh, I forgot to say something. Just say, oh, and something else to think about. There are different ways, and it's just practice. And so I have like something called my 8 P's of powerful presenting, and it's like, you know, your preparation, your pre-preparation, your planning, your practice, your actual presentation, your post-mortem and all that sort of stuff. But it's great because what it does is it allows people to sort of have a plan. And once you know you've got a plan, it gives you, it builds, and this is why bringing it back to confidence, it helps to build that confidence, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I had to say, when I came off after today, I'm actually looking forward to doing more of this, and I am excited to start doing some lives on my Facebook page as well, so my main profile, because one of the things that really stuck for me in the last couple of days with some of the training I've had is there are people out there who need what I've got. And I know I can help people. So I've got to find those people, and then I can help them by sharing what I do and how I do it. So I don't want to hold back from them anymore because they need to know. So,
and you can do it, Nick. And I've watched you grow, and I've watched you sort of like develop over a period of time as well, and building confidence. And you're great at, you know, going on and talking. And sometimes we can. I think the other thing we can do is we can overthink it a bit. we can sort of like worry and we find all the reasons not to do it. And it's that negative voice again, doubting our capabilities and doubting our ability to do it, when actually if you were to sit down and write down all the things you would be able to do as a course, for example, and the thing is, people worry that they're giving away too much knowledge, but they're not. You know, people want to hear it and they'll always want to come back for more. So the more you do it, the more.
And I think a really important point is that when they need you, they will have heard you are the expert, you are the person who knows about what you're talking about, because you know what, you've got your area of expertise, and that's what you're going to go live about mainly. Obviously not all the time perhaps, but they might not need you right now, they might not need your services right now, but they will remember you and know you when that time comes. So just keep going out there and putting value out.
Yeah. So in terms of, like, we've talked about then, like, the things that might be worrying us, our negative inner chatter and stuff like that. The other thing I just wanted to touch on as well that might help people as well is how you can mentally prepare, because I think sometimes it's a mindset thing. You know, it's all for well telling somebody, you know what to say and plan it out, but then all of a sudden their fears or their nerves might overcome them. And that is about, your mindset, and you're telling yourself, I can do this. And also, you know, like some of the things you might tell yourself are things like, oh, I am going to sound rubbish. And then you work yourself up so much that you end up going on so nervous and tense, and it comes across. It changes your voice, it changes your whole manner. Have you ever been in that situation?
Not that I can pinpoint, but I'm sure if you look back at some of my earlier lives, then yeah, I will have been. One, actually, I just remembered one live that I went on. I was actually training for a half marathon, and I tripped over halfway through a training run, so 10k in to a 20k run, and I grazed the palms of my hands so badly that I had stones stuck in them and I couldn't get them out. I had to get my husband to come home from work and literally bathe my hands. But I got home and I was in this kind of adrenaline shock, and I was like, what do I do? So I went live on Facebook to tell everybody. I can't believe I actually did that. But I think I just needed someone to know what had happened, because obviously I was on my own. And so it doesn't even have to be anything, that you're kind of pre-planning, or it doesn't have to be about business. It could just be that you want to share something that's going on in your life. And again, it's about being real, isn't it? I think I had over 1,000 views of my grazed hands on my chin. I'd like hit my chin on the ground, so I had this really grazed chin.
Well, do you know what's actually brought a lot of traction for me is that once there was a mishap, and I was actually cycling on a cycle ride with my son and my husband, a son at university, and we were going through this barrier. And it's actually on Facebook. It had so many views. People kept saying, you've got to send it into, you've been framed. Yeah. Because I had hurtled, and the barrier came down and knocked me over and off the bike, and I fell back and crashed my head. It was hilarious actually watching the video afterwards. The CCTV camera caught it in 10-second snips, and those 3 videos had so many views. In fact, I'm going to search them out and share them again.
Yeah, we want to see that.
So to finish then, I just wanted to say to people that a couple of things as a tips is that when you are preparing to go live, is sometimes you can do things like you can start doing some breathing exercises to relax you, and you can start taking like deep diaphragmatic breathing, which gets you to relax and calms your nerves, gets more oxygen to the brain so that you can think more clearly. And so it is about calming yourself down before, if you're getting nervous, okay? And also sometimes when, have a prop if you need it. If you don't know what to do with your hands, or if you want to, have a cup of coffee, make it part of your Facebook Live. It might be, I've always got my K mug, but that's not because I need a mug, but it's because it's just me, it's my brand. It's my K and it's my initial. And so, have a prop that might be your signature thing that you do, and then you start becoming identified for doing that one thing. And then the only other thing I don't know if you agree with that. Have you got anything that you use, Nic?
I haven't, but actually when I came off today and I was thinking, I remember this from a networking that I've done with Sarah Kay from Serious Laughter Yoga, and she says she always has a prop. She actually has a banana that's like a squeegee thing. And I was thinking I should have something, but I'm not sure what. But I like the idea of the mug. And actually, I was watching a lady today, and she was hugging a mug. So it was just that comfort blanket, I suppose, for her to be holding onto this mug. So I don't know, something like that, perhaps in future. Watch out for my lives and seeing what appears.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a mug.
I've used all sorts. I've got all sorts. I've got a Rubik's Cube, I've got an easel, I've got hats, I've got props.
Yeah.
Or I bring up for various, depending on what presentation I'm doing. So there's just a couple of tips there, guys. And if anybody wants any help or advice, I am going to be running a course on it, on presentation skills and helping people to go live. But just one last thing I wanted to touch on is the difference between a live and a video. Some people prefer to do a video because they can sort of get it out the way and then they can do as many takes as they want. Pros and cons to that. I don't know how you feel. When I've tried to pre-record, I end up being not as natural, because what happens is you're trying to aim it for perfection, and so you do another take, and then you do another take, and you do another take. So actually, in some respects, it's better for you to just do the natural take. And a video is great because it's evergreen and you've got it all the time and you can keep sharing it and keep using it. But the only thing I would say about a video is it can actually put you under more pressure because you're trying to be perfect. Whereas a live, you can be a little bit more natural. So again, it goes back to the purpose of it. If it's like a webinar that you want to record and you want to share with some teaching and sell, maybe you pre-record it. But sometimes the live is a bit easier to do. I don't know if any thoughts on that, Nic, before we go.
Absolutely. I think we're talking about wanting to really get to know people, get them to know us as a real person, and get that kind of know, like, and trust. I think when you've got a recorded video, I know you've got an amazing show reel. It's fantastic, but it's polished, and that's amazing for things like your website. Things like you said, like if you're doing training and things, you want to have something polished to deliver. But to really get that kind of connection with the person, if we're being ourselves and being real, then you're going to get a much better connection in that way. So I think there's definitely room for both of those within our businesses and within our lives. But let's use what you can, and also not every business has a budget to do the kind of paid for professional videos, which are amazing, but when you're starting out, we haven't got the budget for that. So stick with the lives and know that they're going to help expand your network and expand the know, like, and trust. So you will get business from that, because that's how it works, isn't it? Your network is your network.
Definitely. So I think that's been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Before we go, can we just choose our card?
Yes.
Our coaching card for tonight. So you tell me when I'm going to stop and I will pick a card.
Stop.
Right. We had that yesterday. I've got mixed up in it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do this one because I'm going to have to do another one. I got mixed up. What are the 5 things that you're most proud of? And I think that's a fab question, in fact, because it will help with this particular topic tonight. Because so these are my coaching cards, and I just think they're really good conversation starters and things to get you thinking. And the reason why I think what 5 things you're most proud of, it makes you look at the positives, because too much of the time we're all focused on the negative and what we're doing wrong or what we could do better. And I think sometimes it's, if you look at, it's your positive affirmations about yourself. It's saying, I'm good. I'm really proud of what I achieved there. And it gets you to start thinking about the good things about you. And you know, for example, I know what I'd say about you, but go on, what have you got a thought straight away?
I think that's the thing. It's easy for us to talk about other people, but sometimes it's harder for us to go, I'm really proud of this about myself. Actually, I am really proud of myself in the way that I push myself out of my comfort zone consistently to expand and grow. So definitely proud of that. I'm proud of my family, and also that I fight for my family as well. You know, I want the best for my kids, and I will keep fighting for them to be and have the best that they can. What else? I'm proud of what I've achieved in my life so far.
So you're going to be able to put those comments, and I'll put this question in the chat, guys, and you can answer it. I think the one thing I was going to say that I think you ought to be proud of, personally, I'm going to say for you, is the fact that you have conquered your fear of going live.
Yeah.
There you go. So I think.
And do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a live video tomorrow about this.
I think you need to tell people you're going to go live and then do it.
Yeah.
The other thing is it's accountability. If you're not sure what to do, guys, I'm happy to be accountability partner for anybody, but it's about saying to the world, I'm going to go live at 5 o'clock, or I'm going to go live at 10 o'clock. You have to do it then.
Yeah.
And it's about being accountable to yourself and to other people. I could talk about this forever because this is my passion project. So
yeah.
But one thing I'm proud about is the fact that I'm hoping to get a lot of people to have the confidence to go live. And I think that is just my mission, to get people to be confident about showing up and showing themselves and being visible.
And we need it more than ever now. We aren't able to connect face to face. So visibility is so key for your business. You need to get out there and talk to people and let them see the real you, not the brand. Yeah. The real person behind the brand.
Absolutely. So guys, thank you so much. Whoever's been listening, I can see lots of, but because it's streaming to 3 different places, I'm probably not seeing all the comments. Thank you so much. And it's been lovely to see you. I have a special treat in store for everybody tomorrow night. I have got 2 young men coming on, Kieran and Sam, and we're going to be doing an in conversation with them, but it's a special one because we're trying to encourage youth to support each other. There is a high level of unemployment amongst young people, especially, I don't know if any of you have come across the phrase NEETs, not in education, employment or training. Young people are coming out of school and education, and we're going to be calling it what the difference a year makes, because Kieran is in an apprenticeship scheme. Sam, unfortunately, has missed out on not being able to follow through with the BBC apprenticeship, and it's the difference in their lives that just COVID has made. So I think it's something that will resonate with a lot of people. So please get your young people on listening. They're 18 and 19, but it applies to anybody in education and adults as well, because a lot of adults are going on furlough. So please join us tomorrow night at 8, because that's what we're going to be broadcasting. Lovely to see you all, everybody. Thank you, and lovely for you to listen, and see you every day, 8 o'clock. Bye.